Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome to Mules of Training by UnoGeeks. In this video, we'll see the different types of flows you could have in Mule application. In a single Mule application, you could have a different flows. You could have independent flows, flow one, flow two, flow three. You could have a main flow and you could have subflows if you want. And you could also have a private flows in a Mule application. So what exactly are these flows and how do they differ from each other? So we're going to talk about all of those aspects in this video. Okay. So yes, in a single mule application, and especially if you're talking about a complex mule application which you have built for a real-time use case, you might have a, a 10 plus processes in a mule application. And one obvious way to create the mule application is to plug all the processor into a single flow. That is something obvious that you could do, but that might not be a good design practice. Okay, so very often you might have to split the mule application into a multiple flows, and when you have to split it up into multiple flows, you need to decide whether you want to split them into a different flows, such as a flow 1, 2, or 3. Do you want to have different independent flows in a single mule application? Or do you want to create a subflow and invoke it from a main flow? Or do you want to create it as a private flow? So very often you will have to make the decision. So for you to be able to decide whether you need to create an additional flow, subflow, or a private flow, you need to know the differences between them. So when do you create different flows in a mule application? You will create different flows when you typically have to handle a completely different scenarios. So say, for example, in a single mule application, if you want to expose a get endpoints and a post endpoint and a patch endpoint for a particular data object, then you might create them as a separate flows. And in each of those flows, you will implement the necessary or a required logic. Okay. So if you want to handle completely different scenarios in a single mule application, yes, you could build different flows, and different flows can exist in a single mule application. And you could also test them out as well. So you could invoke any one of them from a Postman tool. And as always, and with a normal mule flow, or every mule flow will have a listener and error handling, right? So even if you create additional flows, those additional flows will also have a listener component, and it will also have its own error handling framework. And in some scenarios, you might want to not create a flow. You might not need to create a flow because you don't need a listener, you don't need an error handling framework. But there are a set of activities that you want to execute at multiple times in a main flow. Okay, say for example, think of it as sending out a notification, or maybe logging something to an audit table. Okay, so you might want to do it at multiple times. You might want to perform those actions at multiple places in the main flow. Like you might want to invoke those actions 3 or 4 times in a main flow. So in such cases, what do you do? Instead of you plugging in that logic 3 or 4 times into the main flow, or building out that entire logic in the main flow multiple times, which is obviously a duplication that you can avoid. What you could do, you could create a subflow with the required logic. Like it could be a kicking off something in some other flow, or in some other system. Like it could be starting up a server, it could be uh, sending out a notification, it could be inserting a log into audit tables, be it any use case. You can come up with a subflow first, create a subflow, and then you invoke that and in that subflow you will plug in those actions, and then you invoke that subflow wherever required in the main flow with the help of a flow reference. So whenever you want to invoke one flow from another flow within a Mule application, you will use a component called flow reference. And with the help of flow reference, you could invoke one flow from another flow, and you could also invoke subflow from another flow. Okay, so yeah, that's when you typically use a subflow to perform actions that you want to invoke at multiple places in a main flow. If you want to execute a same set of steps at multiple places in a main flow, then instead of you plugging in those steps in a main flow at multiple places, you create a subflow with those steps and you invoke subflow wherever required in the main flows. So this way you will avoid the code duplication. And a subflow, it will not have a listener and it will not even have an error handling framework. Okay. And apart from flows, independent flows and subflows, you could also configure a private flow in a Mule application. And what does a private flow mean? As you can make out from the name itself, it's a private flow within a Mule application, meaning you can't reach it directly. So that means it will not have a listener, but it will have its own error handling framework. So this will be exactly same as a subflow, wherein you could use a private flow to again to perform a set of actions that you might want to execute at multiple places. But the only difference between a subflow and a private flow is a private flow gives you an error handling framework. You can configure error handler and you can handle errors in a different way in a private flow. So yeah, each option has its own pros and cons, and you will have to pick and choose an option that suits your use case uh, based on what exactly you intend to achieve. Okay, so and one key thing to note here is whether you are invoking a one flow from another flow or whether you are invoking a subflow or a private flow from another flow, the calls work in a synchronous manner. So we'll talk about what that asynchronous manner is in a moment. So if I say, for example, if I create two flows, flow one and flow two in a Mule application, and if I invoke say flow two from flow one will stop processing. Control will go to flow two. Flow two will execute the actions, the process that it has, and then after it is done, it will throw back the control to flow one, and flow one resumes execution. So that is what asynchronous call means. So we'll see all of it in action in a moment. So let's move on to the next slide. And yeah, let's create a Mule application and see how all of this works. So to start off, we will create two different flows and we'll see how they work standalone. And we'll also see how to invoke one flow from another flow. And in the next series of videos, we'll see how to use a subflow, how to make the calls work in a synchronous manner, and we'll also see how to use a private flow. Okay, so let's create a Mule application. Anypoint Studio. Let me stop this flow. Let me delete this as well to avoid confusion. We'll create a new Mule project and we will try to understand how the flows work. Use different flows, a Mule application. Finish. And we'll configure a listener, HTTP listener. Configure a HTTP connection with the default attributes. That's fine. Default attributes. And we will call this as a flow one. To keep it simple, we'll call this as flow one. And we're going to add another one soon. And in flow one, we'll be listening on path with the same name. We'll use a flow one. And this is a get flow one. Allow only a get method. And let's set the payload in this flow. And let's call this as flow one payload. Okay. So this is how you build a normal flow, right? So you add a listener so that a Mule application keeps listening on that particular port on the path that you select. And we're setting a payload here. And if we send in a request now, so if we activate this or if we deploy this Mule application, after it is up and running, if we send in a request to flow 1, we will get back this payload that we are setting here, like a flow 1 payload. And we have seen how this works in the previous videos as well. Now let's create another flow. To create another flow, I'll drag and drop another listener. And I will call this as flow 2. And the listener as well. So I'll use the same connection, HTTP connection, that's fine. So I'll call this as flow 2. I'll use a path called flow 2 here. And again, I will use a set payload component. And I will use a flow 2 payload here. Okay. So we've got two flows in the Mule application now. We've got flow 1, flow 2, and these flows are a completely different flows and independent flows. And if you start this Mule application, you can invoke either a flow 1 or a flow 2 from outside. Right? So let's start the application. So this is like having two independent flows, and you will typically have independent flows with different methods. So one of them would be get, and another one could be post. But just for the demo purpose, I've used the same method here, same get method. So once application is up and running, we will go to Postman tool, and we will have the request ready to be sent off. And we'll initiate flow 1 first. Let's give it a minute. Okay, you see the Mule application is deployed, it's up and running. So this Mule application will be listening on port 8081, and it will be listening on two paths. So you can send in a request to either a flow 1 or flow 2. Each of them works in a completely independent fashion at the moment. So let's send in a request to flow 1. It will, since we are listening on flow 1 path here in flow 1, you will get back a payload that you're setting here as a response. So send a request, you should get back a flow 1 payload. And if you send in a request to flow 2, you should get back a flow 2 payload as a response, because that is what we are setting the payload to in flow 2. Okay. Now, in case we have a requirement to invoke flow 2 from flow 1, how do you do it? You have a core component called flow reference. You have a core component called flow reference. You can use the flow reference component to invoke one flow from another flow. Okay, so you can use the flow reference component to invoke one flow from another flow. So, and it could be an independent flow, it could be a subflow, or it could be a private flow. So whatever might be the case, you will be using a flow reference component to invoke those additional flows. So add in flow reference, and you can select the flow from the dropdown. And I want to invoke flow 2 from flow 1. So I'll select flow 2, save. And to just show you that, yes, the flow 2 is indeed getting invoked, what I'll do is I'll just add a logger here. And I'll just say a flow 2 invoked from flow 1. Okay, because what's going to happen now is if we send in a request to flow 1, it'll go to the flow reference wherein we are invoking flow 2, so it'll invoke flow 2, and in flow 2 there is a log message, so that gets printed, and then you're setting a payload to a flow 2 payload, so this gets executed, and then the control goes back to flow 1. And in flow 1, after the flow reference, we've got another set payload component, set payload processor, so this gets executed again, and in the set payload component we are overwriting the payload from flow 2 payload to flow 1 payload again. So if you invoke flow 1 now, you get back a flow 1 payload as a response. And just to show you that yes, indeed, a flow 2 is also invoked, I've added this logger message. Okay, and let's see if the application is up and running or not. Let's stop that and let's run it again. Let's wait for the application to come up. It's initializing the application at the moment. It should be up and running anytime soon. Okay, application is deployed now. And let's send in a request to flow 1 now. You should see a flow 1 payload coming back to you as a response. It's pretty much the same response that we have got initially when we invoke flow 1, but with a difference this time. This time we have invoked flow 2 from flow 1 with the help of flow reference. And to give you a proof, I've added in a logger component there. So if you look at the log message here, so you see a message that we have included in the logger. So flow 2 is invoked from flow 1 with the help of a flow reference. And this is how you invoke a one flow from another flow with the help of flow reference. And there's one important concept that I want to drive home here, and that is, and that point is this. So the flows or the calls between the flows work in a synchronous manner. And what this means is, if you invoke flow 1, and from flow 1 you are invoking flow 2, so a flow 2 gets invoked, flow 1 execution will stop here, will stop at this point, flow 2 execution will start, all the processes in flow 2 will get executed, and only after the flow 2 is done, the control goes back to flow 1, and flow 1 will resume. And other process that you have in the flow 1 will get executed, and then and then a response will be sent back to client. So to show you that the flow calls are working in a synchronous manner, what I'll do is I will add in a transform message component, and I will make a flow 2 wait for 5 seconds, just to show you that yes, the flow calls are working in a synchronous fashion. So to make a flow 2 wait for 5 seconds, I will add in a transform component. So what you could do is you could write a data weave expression that looks like this. Okay, so you can use this runtime function. You can say wait for 5000 milliseconds, which is nothing but 5 seconds. Okay, I've added a transform component to make flow 2 wait for 5 seconds, just to establish that yes, even the flow 1 will wait until flow 2 execution completes. So let's save this. Wait for the application to come up. And once application is up and running, if you invoke flow 1, Yes, it will internally invoke a flow2, and in the flow2 we are making uh, we have a wait node of wait logic of 5 seconds there. So the execution will pause for 5 seconds or stop for 5 seconds or wait for 5 seconds rather, and then a log message gets printed, payload will be set, and then the control goes back to flow1. So you should see a response coming back to you from flow1 after 5 seconds. So what that means is a flow1 execution stops after the flow reference. So it stops here, waits for flow1 to execute its logic, and only after the flow2 execution completes, flow1 will resume execution, and it executes the remaining process in flow1. So just to establish that flow calls are working in synchronous manner, I have added in a wait node of 5 seconds here. Okay. Okay, hopefully the application is up and running. So let's send in a request to flow1 now. You will notice that you will not get back a response for 5 seconds. That's because from flow1, you are invoking a flow2, and in a flow2, there is a wait node of 5 seconds. So what that means is a flow1 execution paused here, control went to flow2, wherein it has waited for 5 seconds, and then it printed a log message, and then a control went back to flow1, and a flow1 resumed after that, and it has printed the payload message. Okay, so just to let you know uh, that yes, flow2 was invoked, we have a logger component printed, and this is printed after 5 seconds of invoking flow1. So in some use cases that you come across in real time, yes, the calls might need to work in a synchronous fashion, as you see here. And if that is what you need, you don't need to do anything specific. So flow calls with the help of a flow reference will work in a synchronous fashion by default, and you don't need to do anything specific for it. And we have seen how it works in this one. And in the next video, I'm going to show you how to make these calls asynchronous, because in some use cases you might want to kick off a different flow, and you might want that flow to execute in parallel without any dependency on flow1. And more importantly, you don't want a flow1 to keep waiting for flow2 to complete. Okay, so from flow1 you want to kick off flow2, and you want to finish off flow1. You don't want to wait for flow2 to complete. Or in other words, or in integration terminology, you call it as an asynchronous flow. So if you want to achieve that asynchronous flow, I'll show you how to exactly achieve it in the next video. There is a scope called async. There is an async scope here. You will have to make use of this async scope to achieve or to make the flow calls asynchronous. We'll see how it works in the next video. Please join me in that one. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. In case you are interested in MuleSoft training offered by UnoGeeks, please call us on this number or send a WhatsApp message. You can also email us on info@unogeeks.com. Thank you.